Yeah, Skills Pay Bills number 10. Can you believe it?
No.
There's 3 of us here today. We are honored, absolutely honored to have with us Nubia, RhymeStyleTroop.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to give her the full intro, Claudia?
I do want to do a full intro because I feel like every time like you come up in my head or like just I see you, like you're to me like a super magical person, like in what you do, because you're a very well-rounded person, you know, like you do like all this magical like mystical stuff, but then you're also like this MC like rapper, and to top it off, you're like really beautiful. So then it's like, this is like a triple threat, you know? So seriously, like having you on the podcast is like really an honor. And I feel like every time like I like am going through something, like you always pop up. And that's so crazy to me. So it's like, it's really cool just to have you here because it's like, I feel like you're a very like interesting person to just talk to and like really cool person. So you have a lot of stuff that's like happening that like we want people to know about. So we're really excited that you're here. And yeah. Like,
let's start at the beginning if we could.
Yeah.
Thank you for that intro. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And the feelings reciprocated. I'm blessed to be here. And when you talk about the calling of me coming here, you want to know something always, 9 out of 10 times why I come here to Logan Heights is because something tells me to come.
That's so crazy.
It's never really planned.
Yeah.
And for the most part, that's how we link up.
Yeah.
Right? And you're a portal, too. So,
yeah.
You know, when I come here, it's cool. You bless me with a bunch of clients, a bunch of referrals, you know, and I appreciate that, you know. So, real recognize real, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Dude, seriously, like, every time, like, because I feel like we definitely, like, met through like a mutual friend that we have, and I've always been like really interested in like natal chart reading, and I had never had one, and I've always kind of been like, well, like I'm down for it, but like is that like black magic, or you know, like moms are like, no, es cosas del diablo, and you're like, what? And so it's you're like, don't open that door. And so for me, like I've always been like really curious, and I feel like I've always been very like in tune and very like, especially like with like my intuition, like I've always had like that very like been in tune. And so when I met you and we had that reading at freaking
Yo, that was dope.
And so it was after that I was like, oh shit, like it was just like I feel like you've really like basically like guided me to where I am today. You know what I mean? And so and I feel like you've also guided, like, Manny, like, where he is today. And, like, I do feel that, like, having, like, someone where it's, like, it's not like if you're, like, being, like, this is what you have to do. But it's, like, that whole experience with you, like, really, like, it's just reassurance for me. And, like, I know where, like, I need to go. And when you start to tell us that kind of stuff, I'm like, oh, shit, this is, like, it's magical. You know, so it's like for me, like I always kind of like look back and I'm like, she did say that, and she did say that I was gonna go through this shittiest. But it's like it happens, and for me, like I'm always really grateful for the bad experiences because we're learning from them, you know. But you know, just that overall experience.
And my reading with you as well, like completely changed my life. You know, when I don't know how long it was after we had that reading, but it gave me the courage to quit my job, you know, and start this life with Claudia and do all these things. And I definitely wouldn't have had that extra courage to do that if I wouldn't have met with you and talked with you first. So using this moment to say thank you for that, because you completely changed my life. I would have still been working a corporate job and all this other stuff, but this is a new direction. It's very challenging.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's the end of the night. I thank my lucky stars every night that I went this path. But I definitely would have never had the courage to do it on my own. So I'm very thankful for that.
It's so crazy. Wow. I just want to add this thing because it's like, it's so crazy because it's like that weekend before, like we met up on a Sunday. So Saturday, I remember you had like ran out and we had like friends over and I was like, why the fuck is he running out? And he had to go and figure out some work stuff. And so I was like, so rude. Like, I'm now having to like host all these people. And, you know, and I was like, where did he go? Like, is he okay? Like, is everything fine? So he like ran out and he, you know, he had mentioned, he's like, you know, I'm just really like right before we had seen you, he was like kind of like just like upset and just kind of like you could feel like his energy was kind of like really low. And so for me, I was like,
Corporate does that.
yeah. So his energy was like super low, and he was just kind of like, and I'm like, look, just go into this like with like a super open heart, like have a good time, like just you know. And then it was like, hey, this, and then it was like, oh shit. After you left, it was like, what are we fucking working on? What are we doing? Like how, like super motivated. And I was like, oh shit, like the change and like energy and like all that kind of stuff was like, you just turned it on. And it was like, he was like, what are we doing? Like, what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Like, what's the next step for this? And I was like, oh shit, like night and day, like before you got there to like when you left. So for me, like it's reassuring people of like their what they're good at, what they're gonna be good at, like how their life would look like, you know. So yeah, and I mean you obviously have to work on it, but you know, but yeah, it's always been like one of those kind of things where I'm like very magical. So yeah.
But I would also like to say, where did it start? Where did you grow up? Like, what's just a little bit about you?
So I want to say thank you. Like, thank you for giving me my roses, and, you know, I gave yours back, reciprocated all day, because definitely I appreciate you both. You guys are definitely a pillar in the community, and you guys inspire me to do more for the community. So I think that's what's beautiful about our relationship, is to be able to come together in mutual agreement and alignment and refinement and see what it is and what it is we could do better. You know, so definitely you guys changed my life too. You've been a really positive, powerful, impactful presence in my life, and very true blue. Like I call you, you're true blue.
Thank you.
You know, and thank you for everything. But yeah, so I'm happy to give, you know, roses. We're exchanging roses together. I think that's beautiful. More cats need to do that. You know, I feel like a lot of people, it's cool to pull your homie to the side. I love you, I appreciate you, but what about on the platform that you have? Like, you know, that's real respect. So salute and respect to you guys both.
Same.
Yeah.
So I'm from San Diego, South Bay, Imperial Beach, born and raised, and I love being from San Diego, specifically South Bay. It made me who I am today. Can't forget my people. I bring them with me everywhere I go energetically, and I'm thankful for all the lessons and all the elders who didn't hold me under their wing. I don't like that analogy, but they showed me I had my own wings, and they told me, hey, fly high, you know. The sky is not the limit. You're a star with constellations wrapped up in it, you know. So and true. I'm just thankful for my environment that, you know, helped me to see life on all different aspects, whether that be bad or good. I'm grateful for it.
And when did music enter into your life?
Wow, since I can remember. I remember performing at church and stuff and just singing in the choir. I grew up in a Christian home, and I always wanted to be the life of the party, like since I was a little girl. Yeah. I just never, you know, got in touch with emceeing until I was 13. So when I was 13 years old, that was basically when I had my moment of truth. The gangster would say it. By the way, rest in peace to Gifted Unlimited Rhymes Universal. Mm-hmm. Today's his 12th anniversary of his passing. And if we can have a moment of silence for him real brief. Ashe. And so basically I was 13 years old. I asked God, like, hey, who are you in my life? You know, what do you want from me? You know, everyone has their own calling and their own destiny. What is mine? Because I went through a lot as a kid, like we all did. And I had a vision of a little girl in the desert, and there was 2 sets of footprints in the sand. And God was like, the ones on the left are yours, the one on the right is mine. I was holding your hand throughout the whole way. You never bothered looking for me. And I was like in awe, like, you exist. Like, I started crying. I was overwhelmed with joy. And I'm like, all right. So I'm engaged with God in this conversation. I'm like, what do you want from me? There's a microphone. It's like, through your voice, you're going to reach out to the youth. Specifically the youth. Made me, like, the congregation of people in the crowd was mostly youth. There was adults there and stuff, but it was mostly youth. And he's like, through your voice, you're you're a living testimony. You thought you went through a lot as a kid? My God has a sense of humor. You're going to go through a lot more. But don't worry, I got your back. If you need me, call me. I'll be here, I promise you. Sure enough, my journey begins in emceeing. I started freestyling first, and, it's just, as a teenager, exploring different things and aspects to myself, and carelessly, may I add, and, I was trying my best to deal with what I had at the time, and I gotta be thankful, though, because not a lot of people receive or ask those tough questions that I did when I was 13 to be able to acknowledge their calling, which is in astrology we call our North Node, our mission. And from there, it was like, how can I act like I don't know? Like, God exists now. Like, now I know. Like, and God speaks to us different ways. Sometimes it's not through a vision. Sometimes it's through a child, birthing a child. Sometimes it's through death, So it's a lot of random ways divine intervention can occur. But definitely that was when I reached my moment of truth, and I grew up, and here I am, and definitely got to thank God and Goddess and thank my ancestors for guiding me this far. I pray I have a long life and a fruitful life at that, and I can give back, My whole plan is to get this rapper money and come back to the community and open different businesses, have fun with it, juice bars, or I have a big vision, a grand vision, but it starts with a 5-year plan, and here I am at the first year. And I'll have my first 2 projects coming out. One of them is called Cypher with Mansu Beats. He's from Spain. Shout out to you, Mansu. God bless. Thank you for everything, brother. You are the most professional, talented cat that I've worked with thus far. And I mean professional. He's always on point with communication and everything. And communication is key in business. You know what I mean? And me and him have a project called Cypher coming out. So basically the energy behind this project, Cypher, it's like a soldier in the trenches. You're going to hear a lot of my betrayal and my pain in it. And that's what I went through, these past years. Not to put the blame on anybody, but ultimately I betrayed myself into not really seeing myself in my truest light. I went through a lot of things, and, so I felt like I had to convey that somehow. And Mansu helped me manifest that in this project called Cypher. And Cypher is knowledge, wisdom, understanding, how I come full circle with my Cypher. It's a cycle, that I had to break, but I had to honor. I had to get through this cycle, not around it, for me to really have a higher understanding. And then after this project is out, which is right now in the process of being mixed and mastered, and once that's done and solidified, then I can have a date to go off of. But right now it's pretty much getting finalized. And as soon as that's out, well, not even as soon, right now I'm currently tying up loose ends with my debut album, The Legend of RhymeStyleTroop. And so in this album, I'm presenting the world my comic character, RhymeStyleTroop. She has a sword of justice that captures demonic entities. And that's what I consider myself as an MC. Our voice, it opens doors and it closes doors, that are aligned to our will and our purpose, and I'm blessed enough that God gave me purpose when I was 13. And hip-hop saved my life, Hip-hop raised me when people around me couldn't. And like I always say, respect to my parents, hats off to them, but there was times where I felt like I didn't have anything but music to get me through. I remember being a little girl in my Walkman and having these headphones on and just blocking out all this toxicity, all the noise, all the chaos in the home, and just really just honing in that energy, sounds like from Lauryn Hill, just hearing her, making me have hope, even Stevie Wonder, it's like, I remember crying to Stevie Wonder a lot when I was growing up, and specifically Ribbon in the Sky. And music, it just it did something for me that no one else could ever do for me, other than God, and so here I am with this gift, and it's a responsibility. As MCs, we have a responsibility in what we bring to the table, because it's our food for thought. If it's contaminated, there's such thing as karma, and I have a good relationship with karma, and I encourage for people to perceive karma as a good thing, because if you perceive it as a bad thing, got to check why it is you perceive it that way. Mm-hmm. We all reap what we sow, as above, so below. And so like growing up in San Diego, just growing up with cats like Sunk Solo, shout out to my teacher. I always shout him out every time I get, he really helped me become the MC that I am today. Not just him, my homie Mo, my homie Rico. Rest in peace, my homie Re-Ups. Rest in peace to Verb One. My homegirl Muffin. Shout out to you, girl. She helped me come up with my name, Nubia Styles. So that's how that came about. And yeah, I go by Nubia Styles too, but these days I use that name more for my astrology, my tarot card business. And RhymeStyleTroop, it came from Take It Personal off of Daily Operation album by Gangstar. And Guru is my favorite MC of all time, you know, and I'm always pleased and I always have this joyful expression talking about him because he brings me back down to what being an MC is really like. It's about speaking wisdom into the youth, you know, and I'm all for the youth, you know, as RhymeStyleTroop, it's being a soldier in the trenches and in the front line, because before being a general, I got to know what it is to fight the good fight, you know, and I got a long way to go in this journey, and that's cool with me, you know, yeah. It's cool with me. Definitely don't want to be a soldier forever. I always say that because I don't, you know, I want to be a general, but in order to be a good general, you got to be a good soldier. Mm-hmm. So sure. Here I am, and most importantly, fighting my own inner demons. You know, I had to fight my own inner demons before I exercise any demons out of anybody. Yeah. You know, that's the realest, you know, thing that you'll ever hear from anybody. You know, we got to help ourselves in order to help our fellow friend or man or woman. And I just strive to be better, be a better person, and be transparent as possible, and talk about my pain and my, you know, my progression, and also to my downfalls, because that's what makes me human. I'm a human before I'm an MC or an astrologer or this magical person. You know what I mean? I feel like what makes like any of us really in tune with that alchemist energy is exactly what it is, transmuting dark into lightness. And we got to get through and understand the dark. We can't just like, it's uncomfortable, I got to just stray away from it. I mean, that's weakness, you know what I mean? God made us so courageous, you know. We got to walk by faith sometimes and not by sight. And that's a true warrior's journey. And that's why I always pride myself in being a warrior in my mindset, because I used to be the exact opposite, in which I honor that stage too. And I have remorse for her, for that little girl, you know, who was suicidal, who was depressed, who went through hell, and she came back, but she never forgets, and she honors that time. You know, I used to use every excuse in the book of why life is just not, it's not up to par with who I am, you know, when truth is, it was like letting my mind dictate my emotions. But then I learned I got to control my mind. You know, the mind is a powerful weapon, you know, and I had to really strengthen it. I had to sharpen it, and I had to take away all the excess, you know, whether it be drugs, whether it be relationship dynamics, and so forth. You know, I'm sober from alcohol and drugs. I'm on 9 months, going on 10.
Wow.
Nice.
Thank you. And I got to give glory to God. I wouldn't be here. I don't think I would. I mean, I don't predict death, but the way I was going was destruction. And the way my spirit was last year I went through a lot of healing, which is good, but it was dark, and it's okay. I got out. I feel more joyful. I feel like more light in my essence. And last year I had to really decide life or death, you know. And for me, it was more of a cocaine problem than it was drinking. You know, I would drink, but in order to keep up with it, I had to do cocaine. You know what I mean? And that would just numb me. Why would I want to fight the devil numb?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why would I want to be in that energy? Like, I want to be as strong as I could be. And peace to everybody out there dealing with addictions that no one knows about. I pray that you find the strength and you surrender to the Most High, and give your burdens to the Most High, and know that you are adequate and you are worthy of change and love and embrace. Coming from someone who's been there, who's seen their parent, who's seen their mother, who's seen their surroundings, people they grew up with, and some people who didn't make it, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it starts within yourself first. And just gotta call the demons out by name: addiction, gluttony, being stagnant, all those things, you know, and just be transparent and real as possible. And to me, I think that's what real is, though, is being able to navigate through the positive and not get too lost in the positive either, and not get too lost on the negative. It's like, you know, when you're in a successful, pivotal moment, It feels great. But you got to also know that the top of the mountain is at the end of another mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true.
And how did you stop? Like, how did you, because I know so many people who can't. So how were you able to?
Honestly, what happened with me was I woke up one morning. Well, I didn't wake up. I was up all night. And I was like, it was like, what, 9, 10 a.m. and dirtbag move. I still had some cocaine left over from the night. And I was doing the rest of the bag. And I literally was like, yo, I can't do this. Like, I'm over here, you know, I'm an astrologer and a tarot card reader, right? And for me, that's being a teacher. And I'm over here, that's a responsibility. I got to the way that I'm service with people, I got to be like that, but even more to myself. Mm-hmm. I can't give from a cup that's half empty. It has to be half full. And that's the thing. I figured out, oh, my God, it's half empty. How cowardly of me. I got to change. You know, so it made me think about a lot of things. And also, to the fact that I was having these thoughts come into play that hadn't come into play in a long time, such as depression, you know, and I was like, nah, I can't afford this. Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford it. I always say, setbacks are made for greater comebacks, but don't push your luck. You might not get to come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's basically what woke me up to be like, nah, I gotta get clean. I gotta get sober. My life is important. I love myself. I don't want my parents to bury me. It's not fair, you know.
Yeah.
And how has your life changed since you stopped?
Wow, you know, I've got to say, it's gotten harder before it got easier. I'm gonna keep it real. It gets harder before it gets easier, guys. So just because you eliminate the drugs, doesn't mean that it gets easier right away. It's because then you start dealing with that uncomfortability that you used to numb yourself with the drugs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had to deal with my sexual trauma. You know, I had to deal with all those things that really just brought me down. It didn't really represent RhymeStyleTroop in my totality. You know, and so it was hard, but it's a blessing that I came from that, because now I got a story to tell. I mean, my story continues. It's not like it's just here, like, oh, I figured it all out. Hell no, I didn't. I don't know nothing. But what I do know is that I'm more scared to look like a coward in the eyes of the Creator than I am of the people around me.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. How did you end up meshing, like, the astrologer with, because I know that I've never met anyone like you. So for me, I'm like, you know, every time I introduce you to someone new, I'm like, she does this and she does this, and you know. So it's like, for me, I'm like, wow, that's so freaking, like, they're two totally different things. So how did you end up getting into the astrology, and how do you put them together now?
Love that question. So I was 19 years old. I remember I was in my mom's garage, and that was like my room at the time. And I remember just feeling off about where I was in my sense of belief with religion, because I grew up in a Christian home. I'm like, I feel like Jesus doesn't care if I'm gay. These are the thoughts that came in my head. I'm like, I feel like Jesus doesn't care if I'm gay, and if I cuss sometimes, and if I feel like it's too restrictive for this to be really God's love. So I had to question the Bible. And not question God, but question the Bible. That's man's interpretation of what God is. And so I questioned it, and then it brought me to, I remember at that time I was listening heavily to The Doors, rest in peace, Jim Morrison, Jimbo, and I remember reading a biography. And he mentioned one of the philosophers, German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, and that philosopher's name brought me to this book called Will to Power. And that book, Will to Power, it made me really feel empowered of the own goddess within myself. I'm like, oh, so God is me. All right, so I got to keep exploring. And I'm like, why am I so emotional? You know, why am I so prone to paranormal stuff? Am I schizo? You know, like, am I this and that? And so I got into astrology, and I learned a lot about my chart. I have a lot of Scorpio energy, which is water. And it's deep waters. It's the 8th house of your subconscious, of your demons. And the whole point of that 8th house is for you to feel empowered, not devoured by fear. And the Scorpion, its truest essence, is the phoenix, rising above the ashes and becoming the phoenix and having a bird's eye view. So you're not always defensive like the Scorpion on the floor. And I felt like that was me growing up. I was always fighting, always in war and conflict with the things around me and within myself. And so astrology, shout out to Alyssa Sharp, OG astrologer on YouTube. Always give credit. So her, and also to the Peace Dealer and some other dope astrologers on YouTube that I, watched their segments, and, also to picked up books. The first book that really helped me, my astrological journey, it's literally called The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need. And it's a basic interpretation of what the housing systems mean and things of that nature. And, so there was my journey of like awakening, unplugging from the matrix. I was 19 years old and I was like, okay, what is this? What is that? And I started being more curious. And so it all started when I was 19 years old in my mom's basement. I remember just being like a hermit for 3 months, not really talking to anybody or hanging out. I was just in my studies. I still have notes of my studies and everything. Wow. So I was just so amazed. I'm like, wow, life and its elements and how they coincide together, and how everything is everything and everything's connected. And it's like science, it's like occult science, finding these patterns and things. But I always tell people we all have willpower, so you can be any sign in the zodiac, but you wake up every day and decide whether you're going to be a good person or a dick. So that's the way that God made us, with willpower. But yeah, I gotta be thankful for the fact that God placed the stars, and God didn't make the stars and the planets just for us to be like, oh, look at that pretty little thing up there. It influences us. These things influence us. These planetary alignments and positionings and these new moons, these solar eclipse, they're here for us to be more in tune with Mother Earth, the universe. That makes us more in tune with ourselves. And for us recognizing these patterns, these details, we have more control over the bigger picture.
And I just wanted to ask a question, too, about the writing process. Because you write all of your own lyrics, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, just want to get that out of the way. No ghostwriter, nothing like that. It's all you.
No ghostwriter. Nope. No. I mean, like as an MC, if you don't write your own bars, it's like, it's weird. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it has to be in your own words. It's your own unique perception to hip hop, like to the culture, so one thing is like a chorus, right? You know what I mean? Someone else getting on there or something. But like your own bars, nah, I think that's lame.
Yeah.
It's like cosplay, basically, right? Because you're not really writing it, but you're right. If somebody's just speaking somebody else's words, it doesn't feel as genuine, at least because it's an artist, so you want to believe in the artist, that this is coming from them, this is an expression from them, and that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
And there is hip-hop artists that I rock with, and they don't write their own stuff, you know what I mean? So, but it's a different approach on the respect that I give an MC who writes their own lyrics and someone who recites. Because a hit song usually does not just take one person, right? You got a bunch of people. Yeah. But I pride myself, I'm a songwriter. I write my own script. This is my life. I don't mind getting help with the direction of the script. Definitely not the wording of it. To me, that's what makes us who we are as MCs. It's our words and our energy and our discipline behind those words.
And do your words or lyrics ever get introspective in your rhymes?
Always.
You do? Okay.
Always. I mean, my writing, my music process for writing is very fun. It's like a Tasmanian devil, to give you an example. Like, I'll have like a half a verse here, another half a verse from 3 years ago, and somehow I'll put them together. They're puzzle pieces.
That's so cool.
Or yesterday was one of those rare occasions where I wrote a whole song.
Oh, shit.
I was in tune. I was tapped in. I was like, yo, wow. I feel like this. Like, what am I going to do with it? Oh, create. We're artists. Got to transmute it. It's like, or if not, we feel like, it's not a good feeling as an artist to like be inspired or not being able to like put it down on paper or, do whatever it is that you do creatively with it. So, it just varies on the mood and stuff like that. But I always say there's no such thing as writer's block, and a rhyme a day keeps the lame away.
That's so true. Yeah. Yeah.
But are you usually by yourself when you write? Is there a certain kind of thing that you do when you're about to start writing? Is there like a ritual, or is there just if it hits you, you just can do it anywhere? You can write anywhere.
I like how you said ritual. Every day I have a ritual in the morning. Wake up and say thank you, God and Goddess, for another day. Get straight to my spell, my manifestation of the week. Recite that. And after that, for me, it's like putting my armor on for the day. Put my sword through the fire to raise my conscious higher. Make sure that, I set this aura of intention around me for the week, for the day, because who knows what's going to come about. So that's how I, get prepared energetically for basically everything that has to do with the day. And when it comes to the writing process, is just it's like I said, it's very sporadic and spontaneous, but I used to be one of those MCs who was like, I gotta be in the mood to finish the song. I'm sorry, homie, no, time is of the essence. Get on it. So I used to be one of those MCs who I'll get to it when I get to. But say one of your favorite MCs hits you up, I need you on this song by tomorrow. What are you gonna say? When I feel like it, I'll get on. Nah, homie, you're gonna get on it. So that's what I'm saying. Gotta be ready. You know what I mean? And so what that takes is so much practice.
Yes.
So much crossing out the bars and never recycling bars, and it's so much that goes into it. MCing, it's not just writing, it's reading. It's not just writing and reading, it's experience. It's not just that, it's asking these hard questions. So being an MC is being a student to the culture. Understanding the history so you can be more empowered at the present moment, so you can have more of a vision for the future. And one of my favorite MCs to watch interviews on, God bless his soul, Nipsey Hussle. He drops jewels in every interview. He's someone I definitely look up to, and I'm sure we all do in our own way. The marathon will continue.
100%.
Is there I know that you have the whole creative process and stuff like that. Have you ever felt like you get more inspired in specific places, or specific things in your life have happened where you're like, oh shit, this is do you have those kind of things?
You know what? Pain is a beautiful asset. Pain. Pain. Yes. Is it that song, Pain Will Make You Better? Tell me how you feel. Yeah. Look, that pain is beautiful, because it's such an intense energy. If you just hold on, like I said, if you just hold on to it, it's just gonna drag you down. But if you release it creatively, wow, it feels like you didn't go through that for nothing. So I always say, you take a L, don't just take a L. Attach it with a lesson, you get a W. If you just take a L, you're a loser. You have a loser mindset. If you take a L with the lesson, you attach it both together and you get a W. So I can't afford to have a losing mindset.
Yeah.
I can't afford. Remember, spelling words, spell casting. Careful how you talk to yourself. Your mind believes you. You know what I mean? Sometimes, we're human. Well, not sometimes. We're always human. So, there's these weird thoughts that come into play, but we need to utilize discipline and know which thoughts are ours and which thoughts aren't true to who we really are. So pay attention to anger. It's a good trigger point. It's telling you something's off. Pay attention to sadness. It's telling you something's off. Learn from it. Get out as soon as you can. You get what I'm saying? Because being stuck in sadness is called what? Depression.
Yeah.
Being stuck in anger is just called depression too, but in a different way. So they're both a waste of time. I don't have time to waste.
But is it okay to be hard on yourself?
How do you say it? I'm a perfectionist myself, right? And but even then, it's good to be. I don't like the word hard on yourself, but it's good to be placing accountability on everything we do. I like accountability. I like that word. Because accountability, it helps us thrive as humans. Because naturally, our response to survive is to take accountability so we can move forward. Because if we don't, it's just like I said, this limbo, stagnant energy. And I'm the first to admit I'm wrong. And for me, that's what I feel like the people around me love about me is I'm the first to be like, yo, My bad. You know, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. You know, because I think of how I want to be treated, right? I want people to take accountability for how they made me feel to a certain extent. Like, of course, I got to vocalize it. That's another thing, guys. Something, you don't feel like something's good, vocalize it. You feel something is good, vocalize it. Life is very short. I just don't know that every interaction I have with people, I treat it like it's my last. It's like I said, I don't predict death. I don't know when my last day here is on earth. All I know is that I can't leave nothing behind other than my spiritual impression that I left within everybody. And I hope, like, for instance, what you told me earlier about my impact in your life, for me, that's worth more than gold.
Yeah.
That's worth more than a Grammy.
Yeah.
That's worth more than likes on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's energy.
Yeah.
And that will be passed down to your kids, to your friends, and that's the marathon must continue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, it's a baton. It's an energetic baton. It's like, yo, here, man. Like, why? And, you know, there's people in life where they just hoard it, right? They hold all the knowledge and all that stuff. Like, nah, like, greedy bastards. You know what I mean? You gotta give freely of yourself, the truest parts of yourself. You know, so many times we feel like we gotta filter our life due to social media.
Yeah.
Like, comparing yourself to other people is one of the most detrimental things you could do, because somebody could look like they have it all, but they might be going through a very toxic relationship behind the scenes. They might be very shitty people behind the scenes. So when you support a brand, know what you're supporting. You know, that's how I approach hip hop. That's how I approach my relationships and everything. And that's why accountability is big for me, because I want people to really know who I am. I don't want nothing to come as a surprise. Like, here's my negative and my positive. Here's it on the table. You decipher what you like from it. And if you don't like nothing, cool. Cool, bro. Like, keep it pushing. If you like something, if something happens to help you to contribute to your self-development, take it, please. It's not just for me. It's for you. You know, I look at this life like a selfless point of view. And everything I go through is not for nothing. Like I said, I don't have time to waste. I think that's how we got to look at it. Like, things that we go through is not for nothing. We can help people through it.
That's so true. Yeah.
Because there's so much kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just like, oh, this generation specifically. It's been, okay? It's been. I don't like that whole, oh, this generation. Like, nah. It's been generations full of bullshit. And in order for us to stop, to help the world, we need to help our family first. We need to help the interdynamic parts of us first. You know, it starts with our home.
Yeah.
How dare we go out to the world and try to save strangers before we save our loved ones? And what I mean by save, sorry, not save, but encourage, pray. Sometimes it's from distance. That's okay. You know, sometimes people hurt us up close because they're hurting. We need to love ourselves to know that they're hurting, and we can't tolerate that. Just because we love somebody doesn't mean we need to tolerate their disrespect. And like I said, I've been on both sides of the spectrum, you know, of me being the person who got hurt and me hurting the person. You know what I mean? So taking accountability, fixing our inner demons, you know, by naming them, being honest, and having good people around. Yo, you're only as good as the people you hang out with. You know?
So true. Yeah.
I used to not like that growing up. Remember when our parents used to say, just because Timmy's doing crack don't mean I'm doing it. No, I feel like it's an influence. And you never know. With one of those days, your mindset is very vulnerable to the point it becomes weak and it gets influenced to do the wrong thing. And that's why it's important, the people we have around us, they're echoes into our song, they're ad-libs to our muse. And what are they telling us? Are they saying, hey, that's dope, congratulations, and meaning it? Or are they saying, oh, just that? Oh, that's all you got? That's the only promotion you got?
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Haters.
So the people we have around us will have a direct influence on our life.
Facts.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Whether that be family or best friends or business partners. That's why, I mean, like I said, no one's perfect, but you find people you're aligned with where their demons don't tolerate your spirit. There's certain people, their demons tolerate your spirit. You need to respect that. They're not for you at the time. Doesn't mean that they're bad or you're better than, you're more woke. Nah, it just means you guys are just not on the same wavelength, and that's cool. But as humans, right, we're so caught up in comfortability a lot. And it's hard to make that change, but the only thing consistent in this life is change. And I embrace change. And before I was really resentful towards it, but now I embrace it. And I just want to, my biggest theory on like the afterlife, we just need to be as close to our inner child as possible to reach quote unquote heaven. Mm-hmm. Even like for real, I feel like that. You got to be light.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to maneuver your soul in different places when you're so heavy. That soul's so heavy.
That's so true, yeah.
So with being light, it takes forgiveness. Ugh, hard, right? But necessary. Forgiveness of people we never even received an apology from.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that apology to start healing.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking to myself like last year, you know what I mean? I never got that apology for that person who went against my will when I was younger, you know, but I had two options. Let that hate turn me into Darth Vader or me use that as motivation to heal and not let that person dictate my future just because they messed up my past, quote unquote, of that.
And does forgiveness excuse their actions?
No. Okay. It allows you to be set free from their actions. Mm-hmm. Doesn't excuse, but it allows you to be set free from it. And it's more for you than it is from them ever. Mm-hmm. And, you know, letting go, I think, is the hardest part for me, at least. Forgiving was more easier than letting go. You know, and letting go, I couldn't do it alone. I had to give it up to my ancestors. I literally was like, I can't carry this burden anymore. Like, I recognized the burden, I healed from it, but it's still here. I don't want it in my sight anymore. Out of sight, out of mind. You know what I mean? It's still part of my journey and my spirit, but not in a negative way now. Now I can talk about it and feel empowered. Mm-hmm. Not saying that, oh, I healed completely. It's a constant journey, but where I'm at now is more light about it. And oh my God, I work so hard to feel light about this situation. So like I said, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's liberating.
I don't forget anything.
Right.
I don't forget anything. Like, I've had like experiences with like people where it's like, you know, like these kind of like clashes and stuff.
Right.
And I just don't forget, you know, like I just don't forget. And I feel like for me, like really trying to like work through like just being like, I don't feel like I ever really like forgive them, but I suppress with like how I am very like workaholic. So I suppress that and I put that energy somewhere else as opposed to just being like, okay, like I'm going to like in a sense like forgive this for what it was. Like I allow myself to like feel what I have to feel and be like, okay, like what can I take from this and all that. But it's like I don't ever forget. And like I'll keep it very like guarded and I'll be like, I remember like all the time.
I think not forgetting is good. It helps you not to be foolish again.
Yeah.
Right? Or not, not be foolish again. So sometimes, like, for instance, cases like what I was just telling you about me, about the sexual trauma, like, that, not me being foolish. I was young. I had no control over what happened.
Yeah.
But me not being foolish in the terms of not having remembrance of that occurrence to where I need to protect my energy in a certain form. So you're right. You can't forget and act like that never happened. But I think it's just all with balance of, like, letting go and not forgetting. You get what I'm saying? And that's true. We definitely need to be more wise on how we approach those people who put knives in our back. And I always say, don't dress a wolf in sheep's clothing and act like it's a sheep. You know damn right it's a wolf. Call it for what it is. A snake's a snake.
I think I've always been like that kind of person, like as far as like my energy, where I'm very like friend, you know, like friends, and it's like I just have to like really like know that it's not always like that, you know? And it's like I always want to like be like, oh my God, like we're friends and we're all friends and we're all, you know, but it's like, it's not like that, you know? And I feel like in those kind of situations, it's always like that kind of feeling of just kind of like, okay, so now like I'm heartbroken, but it's like I don't also want to like lose that like sense of like me of being like so accepting of like people, but it's like it's also like making sure that it's like that feeling is like that intuition of like, hey, this feeling feels weird, and why do I feel weird with this person, as opposed to like embracing it and wanting to be like, I could fix you.
Oh yeah.
You know? And it's like, and I've never had like a I could fix you kind of mentality, but I do have like that kind of like I love people. Like I love having like these connections with people, and I love connecting with people, and I love connecting people to people. Like that's my jam. Like I love hearing what you have to say about wanting to work with people, and then being like, how could I connect her to the people that I know, you know? Right. So it's like I love like listening to people and doing all that, but it's like I also feel that like I don't want to like lose like that lightness of me of being like so welcoming and being like, oh my God, just because it's like, you know, these experiences like keep happening, you know? So it's just kind of like guarding like myself a little bit more. And
you're a beautiful soul.
Thank
and
you.
As beautiful souls, you got to learn eventually that not everyone has the best intentions for you.
Yeah.
You could still be so understanding of humans. You can see the best in people. That's a gift.
Yeah.
But like I said, recognize patterns, accept the actions, have faith on their words.
Yeah.
You're becoming more wiser. It's a balance thing, you know? Yeah. I used to be more passive before, but then I got to the other opposite side of just being too aggressive. Mm-hmm. That was both wrong. Too much passiveness and too aggressiveness, they're both wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just all find a middle balance. It takes time, though, so have compassion for yourself, and it's good that you're feeling these things because you're going to make you more wiser. Yeah. And it's a blessing that your spirit is still light, but your mind is forcing you to be like, hey, look, like I said, you got to see the snake for the snake, the dog for the dog. That was a DMX. The snake. Wait. Snake. How you going to see them when you're living in the fog? The snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. How you going to see them when you're living in the fog?
I love that.
Yo.
Yeah. But it's like it, and it's like, for me, like, I'm always like what, you know, always like super, super, like, really, really grateful for those kind of experiences, right? Like having like these kind of experiences and being like, this is like what happened, you know, and like really taking it and learning from it. But yeah, like I just don't freaking forget.
But do you forgive? I mean, because that's a huge part of it. If not forgetting is cool, you know, like you said, because you're learning lessons. But if you don't forgive, I feel like that could breed resentment, and that could be terrible. If you're always constantly thinking about how that person wronged you without forgiving them, that's a whole terrible cycle to be in.
Yeah, I do feel like I had so I have like religion trauma, and I basically with like my dad, and like my dad lived like a double life and stuff like that, and for a really, really, really long time, like when I was like around like 14, 15, 16, like those crucial years, right? Like I was just like, fuck the world, fuck everyone, fuck this shit, fuck my dad, and like I was just like on a rampage. And like these little like ladies would come and from church, you know, because we were part of like a Christian church, and they would sit down and they would be like, you have to forgive your dad, you have to forgive him, you know. And so for me, like I was like, you don't fucking know me, you know, you don't know how like the back end of like what I got to experience like with my dad, and like how he did like all this crazy stuff. And so for me, like I was like, you don't know me, you don't know like what I went through. And so every week they would just show up, like, and it would be less of them, you know, and less of them and less of them. These like little ladies that would always be like, forgive your dad, forgive your dad. They would sit around and we would do like prayer, and I was like all like goth and stuff. So they were like, we need to get the devil out of this one, you know? So, and there was this lady, this lady, and she's like one of my core memories. And I remember her, she was always there. And she was like the last one. That one day, no one else came, and she's like, how do you feel? And I was like, what? And she's like, how do you feel? How does all this stuff make you feel? Oh. And no one had ever asked me that.
Instead, they're just saying you have to.
And I was like, I was so kind of like, I didn't even know how to like respond to something like that because no one ever cared, you know? So it was so difficult for me to kind of be like, oh. And so me accepting like the feeling for what it was allowed for me to forgive him and to be like, okay, like, you know, I feel like shit and like I feel like super betrayed and this and that. And that really like allowed for me to like be able to be like, okay, now I could move on. And like that day, like I dumped it all out. And she was like, I'm glad that like, and I never saw her again. And I was like crazy. I was like, and I always asked my mom, like, I think she like stopped going to church for like some time or whatever. And I asked my mom, I was like, hey, what's up with I'm like, does she still go to church? And she's like, yeah, she still goes to church. I'm like, I never see her. And she's like, yeah, she's still there. And I'm like, she was the only, like, and I talked to my mom, like, not, like, a couple of days ago. And I was like, that was the only lady that ever cared. Like, she's the only person that ever asked me how I felt. And she was like, my mom kind of felt like, fuck you.
She asked you how you felt rather than telling you how you felt.
Yeah. So for me, like, I feel like that, like, when I was, like, at that age, when I was, like, 15, 16, like, I had, like, this experience of being, like, oh, shit, like, she's having, like, this full-on, like, conversation with me, and she's, like, you know, she's, like, how do you feel? How does this whole entire thing make you feel? Like, no one's here. Like, we could talk and this and that. And I was, like, oh, shit, like, and just having, like, that moment where she, like, instead of being, like, you have to do this, you have to, you know, like, we connected on the whole entire thing of her being like, you know, yeah, and it was just me and her by ourselves in like the room. And so she even like looked by the door and she's like, is your mom like him? And she's like, yeah, this is fucking super shitty. She's like, but fuck him. Like, you need to do this because it's for you. It doesn't have anything to do with him. And like, I didn't understand any of that kind of stuff, you know? So now, like, it's like I allow myself to like feel it because I don't want to go through it again. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling this. I'm going through it. Like, I'm allowing myself to, like, feel, like, these emotions of, like, betrayal and, like, you know, this and that. And then, like, just allowing myself to be like, okay, I remember how that felt. Like, I remember everything. And then, like, allowing to be like, okay, cool. Like, I could let it go. You know? But it is, I think it does take some time for me to, like, actually, like, let it go. Which kind of sucks because it's like I feel like we've talked about it before where it's like communicating these kind of things and just being like, you know, as opposed to like resenting someone.
Right.
Like, I feel like that's really important, but yeah. So I'm glad that.
I like how you said though about the emotions, you know, about really embracing them. Because so you don't have to, so you remember them, so you don't want to go back there. That's the thing, though. A lot of us, we just want to, like, put a Band-Aid on it. But we need to remember that betrayal and how that felt and how we don't want that again. Yeah. And that's important. It's like when we're missing someone, it's okay to miss them.
Yeah.
But let's think about does the disrespect outweigh the love? Because if that's the case, then we don't need them back in our lives until otherwise. So I like how you said that. That's exactly how I look at it.
But dude, that's like, I feel like it's like I'm really grateful that like I got to go through like these experiences of like having like this experience with like this lady and just being like, oh shit, like I kid you not, like that was the only time ever, because I was like a troubled youth. Like, I ran away from home. I did all the fucking crazy shit like you could think of. I was like going to parties in like the trunk, and fucking my parents are finding like alcohol all over the room and getting my ass beat. Like, I knew I was so bad that I had signed myself up to go away for like a disciplinary kind of camp. And so I did like the whole entire, like, it was like a 50-page like application. So I had filled it all out. I had to get like a physical from a doctor. So I scheduled my own physical to have like this doctor check me out to make sure that I was like physically okay to like go to like this camp. And it was like a very like military, like very like disciplined like kind of camp. And so I was like, I'm gonna do this, like, and I had told my mom, I'm like, I need to do this. And everything, like, I had already, like, my teacher was like she was gonna be like my mentor, and I had asked her, I was like, would you be down to like mentor me when I get back? And she was like, yeah. And I seriously, the only thing that was missing was my mom's signature, and I had talked to her about it and everything, and she's like, I can't send you. She's like, I can't send you. She's like,
that's rare for even a teenager to seek help themselves and actually set up all that.
Yeah, so. Because my neighbor, she had done it, and I was like, and they never recuperated from like their drug addiction, like they just, you know, these were people that I grew up with, you know, so it's like still they're still battling like drug addiction and all that kind of stuff. And so for me, like, I saw the path that they were going on, and I was like, oh shit, like this is the same path. We grew up in the same neighborhood, like I'm gonna end up doing the same shit, you know. And so I was just really, really wild, and I created a lot of heartache for like my family. And I was like, I need to fucking do this for myself, for like my mom, for like everything. And she was like, I can't send you. She's like, I can't imagine someone treating you like shit. And I was like, I fucking deserve this shit right now. But she was like, no. And so I was like, fuck. So having like this
She's
lady.
like, the chancla's not enough, huh?
Yeah, no. And, dude, I was like, I was like really bad. So my mom, when she came to visit just recently, she was like reminiscing. She's like, oh my God. She's like, yeah, she was really bad. And she's like, she gave my younger brother, I gave him like major anxiety from like not showing up. You know, like I would be like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna stay out until like, you know, and he would seriously, like, we had like a main street. He would go and look for me on the main street, and he was like young. He had to have been like at least like 8 or 9. And he would like go and look for me. Major anxiety, like where he would fucking shake, and he would call my phone like a bunch of times, and it was really a super shitty experience.
That reminds me of me and my bigger sister when she used to run away. She was like my mom growing up, so you were probably like that to him as well. And so I would feel her hurt too. When she was out the house, I'd be crying too and just missing her. And like,
and he was a Libra too. He's a Libra too.
Libra squad.
So I'm like, so now I feel like super major like guilt, you know, because it's like you're like, fuck, I put them through this, you know. But it is like that. Like, now, like, I'm in that position of, like, okay, so what would I have wanted for someone like me at that time? Right. You know? So, yeah.
Well, look who you are today, though. So that's what's dope about it. Like, that's why I had to check the way that I talk about my past and my dark phases. And now I say I honor those phases rather than, yo, man, yeah, I went through, like, I was this, I was that. I'm like, yeah, you know, I was this and I was that, accountability. But I honor those stages because they made me, they didn't break me. And we can't, and from, like, how we're saying, the people we grew up with, sometimes, you know, fatal things happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I guess that brings us back around to, you have a debut album coming out this summer.
Yes.
You know, and debut albums are huge for any artist, but especially hip hop artists. I mean, you're coming out of the gate. People are going to listen. This is your first album. Yeah. All of your 25, 26 years leading up to this, you get to basically talk about that.
Right.
And so what can we expect with this album? When we put it in, like, what are we going to hear?
So basically, like I said, there's a lot of darkness around me when I was making this project Cypher with Mansoul Beats. My debut album, which comes after that, which is later on this year, that's more of a childlike spirit from me. Because I had to go through my darkness, like the soldier in the trenches. And then my debut album is more like boot camp and being presented my mission and signing off to my mission. Like, all right, discipline, sobriety, things like that, holding myself accountable to certain things that I feel like is going to help propel me forward into really embracing my full North Node and my mission and what it is I'm here to do. And so also, too, like I recently in my life just getting involved more with working with the youth because that's part of my mission, too. You know what I mean? It coincides together. In order to be a good teacher, I got to be an even greater student. And I need to listen to these kids. I need to hear them out more, you know what I mean? Rather than place judgment or even place responsibility on them. I need to understand more. I want to understand more of what's going on with the youth today. Yeah. So I can have more solutions and lead by example as much as I can. Like I think experience is the best teacher. I don't think I know. And that's why I always look at my past like it's a blessing that we went through those things because we can relate to children, to people around us who went through the same experiences, and we can feel less alone and more connected with each other. So these conversations, I always bring them about on basically every platform I get on because, remember, I'm human, that rapper, that MC, sharp sword, all that comes with discipline. It comes with really being realistic about what's going on in the world today and what is wrong with Nubia today and what is a blessing about how far I've come today. It all coincides together. And these projects, I'm so excited for the world to hear them, to relate, and to have more of an understanding of where I was and where I am and where I could be. And it's my contribution to hip-hop. I feel blessed that I get to be a part of this culture called hip-hop.
And are you still writing songs for this album?
For the Cypher joint, no. I'm already done. Right now it's in the process of being mixed and mastered. And then after that, my debut album, I'm still in the writing process with that, which is very exciting because these specific songs for my debut album, my intro, outro, actually, it's very comical. So it's very heavily MF Doom, Czarface influence.
Nice.
That's so cool. Because Manny was noticing that you have a lot of East Coast influences.
And tell us about that, because you did grow up in South Bay, San Diego, so you experienced a lot of West Coast hip-hop. Like, what drew you to the East Coast sound?
So it's the mecca of hip-hop, right? That's where hip-hop originated, where it started. And I just love the East Coast sound, the rawness of it, and the griminess of it, and the ruggedness of it. To me, it's a sound that's really relatable for me. I love my West Coast artists, you know what I mean? I love NWA, Ice Cube, Ice-T. Salute to those legends. Mm-hmm. I'm from West Coast, South Side. But East Side, I'm heavily influenced. And I got to give my hat and my credit where it's due, the mecca of hip-hop, And a lot of people tell me, they're like, yo, you sound like an East Coast artist. I'm like, yeah, I probably do, huh? Yeah, and it's cool, That's just a style that really resonates with my spirit. And until it doesn't, then I'll get on whatever, flavor that I want to get on. But I'm very versatile, So even with these projects, like, there's a big difference in the essence of each project. And I want to always make that apparent in each project because it's a different version of RhymeStyleTroop. I have two sides to my sword. One of them is RhymeStyleTroop. The other one is Nubia Styles. You guys have yet to hear a project under the name Nubia Styles. And when you do, it's going to be completely different. And I love music overall, so all genres, It's like hip-hop is blues, hip-hop is rock and roll, you know what I mean? Like, take it back to the roots. And for me, I always want to embrace all the cultures into this culture I respect called hip-hop and really, James Brown is as hip-hop as it can get. You know what I mean? And learning this and being a student is very dope. And like I said, I'm a student of hip-hop, and I'll always consistently learn. And, hip-hop never died. That's the thing. It never died. It was always here. It's always been here and always will be. And that's why it's really important for us MCs to practice what we preach. What are you saying in the song? You know what I mean? What are you glorifying? Will you die for what you're glorifying? You know,
Because hip hop has more cultural influence than ever right now.
it's been, like when the hip hop started from I mean, when Ronald Reagan dropped crack and you know what I mean? Like literally, like it's an expression from struggle, from pain, from not having a father, from not having a mother, from having death. Like, it's these elements that we coincide with within our body, our mind, and our soul, and our spirit, and our voice. And like I even said in my earlier story, like all I had was hip hop. Really growing up, hip hop raised me, so I can't turn my back on hip hop. Never, never. And selling out is not always a record deal. Selling out is actually selling out to yourself. You know what I mean? And not staying true to who you are. So appreciate the change in what you go through. If you find that you don't want to rap about drugs anymore, that's cool. Embrace the change. If you find that you want to rap more about love because that's the emotion you're in, respect that. You're going to probably make a dope love song, yo. Yeah. If you're in an angry mood, respect that. Make a dope rap song, you know what I mean? Talk about how your ego is bigger than the next MC. I mean, that's what's beautiful about hip-hop is, like, all these emotions we're able to put in the forefront, put on our sleeve. I wear my heart on my sleeve. You know what I mean? So I like to be diverse in everything I talk about. I don't mind talking about a love story. I don't mind talking about a tragic story or an observational one of the world around me.
I love that.
And is there a track, this is kind of off base a little bit, but just for my own thing, is there just a track that you can throw out that I could YouTube after from any artist that I could just, something that I maybe never heard of before, but that I can enjoy?
Blame One, J57, They Don't Know.
Perfect.
Blame One, respect, brother.
And Blame One, who is Blame One?
He's an MC from San Diego.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Blame One's an MC from San Diego. He's one of the OGs from San Diego who really inspired me. And shout out to Boricua Sandy for showing me who Blame One was. I appreciate you because his music really influenced me as an MC. And also, too, I could relate to his music. I love how he talks about everything, and he talks about family, and he talks about God. He prides himself in being a family man. That's hip-hop. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear about the gangster shit you did if you don't have the balls to raise your kid, whether that be woman or man, because it's not just man, woman too. So that goes out for all you rappers. I don't want to hear about all the gangster shit that you did if at home you can't raise your kid. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear how loyal you are if behind the scene you're taking the bid. Mm-hmm. For real. Just be who you are, yo. You know what I mean? Just be who you are. I guarantee you, like, you'll generate the right fan base, yo. Like, takes too much energy to not be who you are. Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah,
it does.
It's too much energy. It's a waste of time. And people fall victim to a gimmick all the time. Yep. Into waves. Make your own wave. You know, sometimes it's not going to be this big tidal wave yet, but create that motion, you know what I mean? And that discipline to where you're riding the momentum and then where everyone's going to catch on. This is a process. This is not a race. And, I'm speaking to myself because so many times we can get caught up in the illusion that, after this accomplishment or this album's done, like, oh, yeah, I made it. Like, no. Making it is feeling joyful in your soul, I feel like, and for me, what joy brings is work and alignment, and I'll always do this until I don't love it anymore. Like with anything with life, with people, places, and things. Once I stop loving it, once I stop having fun with it, I'm done with it. Mm-hmm. But hip hop is more than just rapping. It's a way of life. It's the way that you treat your friends. It's your friends' circle. It's your business interactions. I mean, like I said, hip-hop is a lifestyle. It's not a gimmick.
That's true. Yeah.
And do you think you'll come back when the album's released so we could talk about it more?
Of course.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
Do we have a little bit of the song we could play?
Yeah. Do we have the latest video?
Yeah.
I think we do. Queuing it up.
Dope.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Full Metal Jacket style. Let's get it. Shout out DJ Flipside. Shout out Mansu Beats.
Where was this filmed?
This was an abandoned spot, so we're.
It looks so fucking cool.
Hell yeah!
Here
Look
in
at
San
that.
Diego?
This is San Diego.
Yeah, here in San Diego.
Oh shit!
Shout out to Dom on the right, Eddie on the left. Dope B-boy.
And I love the cinematographer too. Do you remember the cinematographer's name or the?
Yeah, Keeping Up LLC. Shout out to Adrian.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the dope B-boys, dope videographer, dope vibes. The way that it all came about, it's very dope and organic, and I'm blessed to be working alongside these dope cats in the game.
One day shoot?
One day shoot.
One day, in and out. Hell yeah.
Honestly, I like planning for the music video, but at the same time, I like going with the flow more than anything.
Right.
So a lot of it was going with the flow more than it was like, oh, you do this here.
Full Metal Jacket style. Full Metal Jacket style.
Y'all talking good when it can't back it.
Full Metal Jacket style.
Y'all talking good when it can't back it.
Is that a sample?
Original Jabberwocky.
Full Metal Jacket style. Full Metal Jacket style.
Y'all talking good when it can't back it.
That's a great way to end it.
Gotta
Hell
let
yeah.
them know, you know
Keep
what I mean?
up, keep up.
Gotta have that B-boy, B-girl stance. You know
Dude,
what I mean, all
that
day.
was so
Hell
freaking
yeah.
awesome.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Like that energy's like, damn. I know
Powerful.
her.
It's powerful.
Aw, man. Hey,
It's like so good.
I have that same energy no matter
So
what, homie.
good. So good.
Thank you.
Seriously, like I've always like felt, I'm like, damn, you're just such a good MC. Like, and it's like I hear Manny like playing all kinds of like hip hop and all that kind of stuff, and then I hear you and I'm like, damn, they got nothing on her. Like seriously.
Tell him.
Right?
Tell him. Talk that shit.
Nothing. I'm like, what the, like, serious? Because I've heard you've done like stuff in front of me, and I'm like, fuck. Like you're too good. You're too
appreciate
good.
you.
So yeah.
And thank you again for coming by here today.
Yeah.
That was
Yo,
super
thank
cool.
you. Yo, I
Yeah.
appreciate y'all. For real. I usually don't do this, but I want to do it right now. Can I do a little freestyle for
Yeah.
y'all?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Dude,
Yeah,
that would
let's
be
do
like
it.
a fucking honor. Oh my god.
All right, let's do it. Yo, mic check 1 2. RhymeStyleTroop, it's time to regroup. I'm creating my mindset to get back to the youth. So when it comes down to the fruit of the loom, we take it back from the fruit of the womb, which is Mother Earth. You were either born with a blessing or born with a curse, whatever's worse. People always from your past say you changed for the worse, but truth is I got no time to rehearse. I always stay one with the essence. Is your presence a blessing? Is it pleasant, or is it something that could just be X'd out? Truth is I'm protected by the old gods, better watch out. You ever think of me, seeing this criteria and this credibility as an MC? I always got a record daily. One thing's for sure, 5150 couldn't save me. I had to implant my own seed. What it is to give back to the youth, yes indeed. And that's for me to place accountability in everything I do. My perception is what I call a soldier with truth, a soldier with love, giving back. So when it all comes to the push or shove, it don't matter whether they accept me, I accept me for me. That's why God got me, and God blessed me with the MIC.
Damn.
Wow.
Fuck.
That is
Thank
freaking
you.
Awesome.
That was fucking hell yeah.
Damn. We need an applause.
Hey, that was, thank you.
Fuck yeah.
That was freestyle, you know what I mean?
Damn.
Gotta kick a freestyle, but the style ain't free.
Damn.
Always gotta sharpen your sword, you know?
Hell yeah.
You know, as an MC, I encourage all MCs, you know what I mean? Just step out of your comfort zone, you know what I mean? Like, you never know what just might happen. That's the beauty of being spontaneous.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Made Skills Pay Bills history. That was the first
For
freestyle.
real.
Skills
so-
pay bills.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell
That
yeah.
was awesome.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Nubia.
Thank
You're
you.
freaking awesome.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate you.
And we'll do it again in a few months.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
will.
yeah.
I'll be
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.